Hey y'all, hey. So we on this finding yourself, this self-evaluation journey, and it's good. Let me tell y'all something. This is so good. It's been so good. Let me cross the street real quick, y'all. Hold up. It's been so good. So today, while I was having lunch with one of my mentors, I received a message. I'll tell y'all a little story time. I received a message from someone who I just kind of slowly let back in to my life, in a sense. Set up some boundaries, right? And so that person's response to me was, I hadn't talked to the person in a couple of weeks or so, or whatever. So the person response and what God has shown me is, it's like being in a relationship and you the man and that's the woman, and that's the incorrect relationship that you have with this person. And so the person basically told me, why did I bother to contact them again? And told me basically like, oh, you ain't changed. You still X, Y, and Z. So while I'm telling my mentor, and I'm like, this is the same thing. And God just keeps reminding me that I need to be very cautious of opening up my house internally and externally to people that I cut off and kicked out my house for a reason. And don't forget who they are. And this is why those boundaries is up, so that you don't forget who they are. Period. They're not going to like, and this is also for some of y'all, you'll catch on a little bit. This is also if you're dealing with somebody, no matter who it is, mama, daddy, sister, brother, ex, husband, baby daddy, whatever, with narcissistic behaviors, that when you start changing and you don't budge on your boundaries and you actually stand on your boundaries, they start throwing little stuff at you, and then they go away for a while, and then they try and throw some more stuff at you. Just know that's God testing you to see if you're going to stand on those boundaries that you've been practicing and applying, or are you going to dip back in? Sometimes it takes for you to delete the message so that you don't keep seeing it and revisiting it in your mind. Sometimes it may take for you to write them words out and say, I have changed. And say, the devil is a liar. You haven't changed. And your reality is, because I no longer live my life to please you, I no longer live my life, and you don't know every single crick and nanny of my life, you feel a way about that. But that's your reality. Because you never was supposed to be that super involved in my life in the first place. And you feel that cutoff. You know how some people say their cutoff game is strong? You just kind of feel that. So God just showed me, he said, let's go a little deeper. Like that's right there. You right there with it, daughter. But let's go a little deeper. So me and my mentor, we on the freeway coming from Eden. We talking, right? And while we talking, and I'm telling, and God says, what about this? Look at it from this angle. Look at this situation and that response from this angle. He said, number one, it shows you that person doesn't know how to communicate. How can you see when a person doesn't know how to properly communicate their emotions and feelings? When you got your emotion, when you know how to properly communicate and you doing your work, it exposes the people who not doing theirs. I said, okay. He said, this is also another finding yourself where you left yourself at. That person left they self, and that self where they can express their feelings and emotions in a healthy way. They left themselves back in the early 90s, 20 plus years ago. They're stuck right there. And they've been stuck there and they don't even realize that they're stuck there. I said, okay. He said, sometimes people just don't want to do the work. So while me and my mentor talking, I'm like, you know what? That's right. It took hard work for me to get where I'm at right now. And I ain't nowhere near done. But I'm surely not where I used to be. But finding yourself where you left yourself at, let me just tell y'all right now, you gotta do the work. Sometimes you don't want to do the work because you don't want to revisit. And I said this in another video. You don't want to revisit that hurt, that pain, that heartache. But let me tell you something. If you really want to change and you no longer want to be it, don't put on the victim coat and play the victim role and be like, it's everybody else, it's not me. Because that's not true. If you could look at certain situations and circumstances and be like, hold up, it ain't got nothing to do with them. This is me. I need to change my habits. If you think that there is nothing wrong with you, there's no area in your life that you can grow in, that there's no area in your life that you can improve on, the devil is a liar. You are stuck in an illusion of thinking that you have made it, when actuality you have not. You've probably fallen way behind and think you have made it, but in actuality, you really didn't make it. Not in your reality. You're stuck in a fantasy world thinking that you made it because you're scared to really do the work. Man, let me tell y'all, this is something I told my mentor. I said, man, I remember God showing me, and I didn't understand it, but I remember God showing me, like, me crying and weeping over the divorce papers. And I was the one who served them. But it didn't mean that it didn't hurt. And God had to show me the reason why it hurt is because your love and what you have for a person is genuine. And what they have for you is not. And that's why it hurts. But that's where you left yourself at. You left yourself in that broken place. And you were trying to go and become the version of you that I showed you. But in order for you to get to that version, you must go pick back up the pieces of you. You must go pick up those broken pieces. You must go pick that back up. You must go in those places to heal those places. You must go back and visit that little girl that was upset and angry and mad. You must, because if you don't go back, you're liable to have innocent blood on your hands, because hurt people hurt people. That's what I meant by innocent blood on my hands. When I used to dance in ministry, and I used to mime praise dance in my old church, let me tell y'all something. The one thing, it was a few things that I used to do, but my one saying, while I seen everybody else playing church, was number one, I'm not playing. Number two, I refuse to minister in any kind of way on any platform or pulpit and have innocent blood on my hands, meaning putting out the wrong spirit or putting out a pretend spirit that this is who I am, but my life is super raggedy. And I don't mean, and I know some of y'all gonna say, well, God used Peter and he used this person. Their life was raggedy. Their life was this and that. Yeah, but when they started walking with Jesus, that shifted and changed. That's what I mean by raggedy. Raggedy, I mean that I'm saying one thing and then I'm living something completely, utterly different than what I'm saying. I'm not practicing what I'm preaching. I'm just doing it for a platform. I'm just doing it for a performance to get the accolades and get the hand claps. But I'm really not living my life. I forgot. That's how you can get innocent blood on your hands, because as a leader, when you know that you are a leader that's called by God, you do not want that encounter with God where he makes you accountable for the sheep that you led astray. As a leader, you have great responsibilities, but also as a leader, you must find yourself where you left yourself. If you are broken or you consider yourself broken, you must find yourself. So that was something that God showed me, is she don't know herself. And most people are scared and terrified of that version of themselves where they left themselves at broken, and they went all around the country, moved all over the world to get away and escape from the hurt, the pain, the hiccups, the hangups, the heartache, the despair. They got up to run away, only to get across the world and find out that you're still dealing with the same stuff that you were dealing with in that place where you left yourself at. Sometimes it requires for you to go back in the physical and the spiritual to face those spaces, to face that version of yourself that you were displeased with, that you allow for people to mishandle you, for you allow for people to break you, for you allow for people to pick you up and break you again, pick you up and break you again, pick you up and break you again. And then the enemy made you feel as if nobody was on your side. So now you thought you had to go pick up those tiny, tiny pieces, because some of y'all been picked up, drop, picked up, drop, picked up, drop, picked up, drop, and so forth. And you got into the role of, it's their fault. It's their fault the reason why I'm like this. It's their fault the reason why I don't trust. It's their fault the reason why I'm bitter. It's their fault the reason why I act the way I act, and I say the things I say, and I do the things I do because of the people who came and hurt me. But if you look in the mirror, if you're really on that journey of finding yourself where you left yourself, and you look in the mirror, when you look in the mirror, you will see, yeah, they are at fault to a certain extent. But honestly, if you're honest with yourself and you can take accountability for yourself, it ain't all their fault. It's your fault too, because you allowed it. Some of y'all may say, but I loved them so much. I thought my love would have changed them. That's what you thought. But love also comes with boundaries. You didn't put no nut, so they continue to cheat because you didn't put no boundaries up and you tolerated it. They continue to curse you out. They continue to mishandle you. They continue to treat you however they want to treat you. They continue to use you and let you feel like you were useful and that you were only good to be useful. They continue to devalue you and be unappreciative and ungrateful. But see, sometimes God uses certain things, just like this video. I didn't plan on recording today, but he used the conduit to let me know you need to record. Why? Because God will use everything for your good. That's Romans 8:28. All things work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose and plan. So stop blaming other people for the reason why you feel that way, for the reason why you're broken. They have some blame, yes, but is the blame really 100% on them? Or is it on you because you compromised your boundaries? Is it on you because you willingly gave it away? Because really, in actuality, the reason why you freely gave yourself away, gave all that access of you and your family, your kids, the reason why you gave people so much access to you, to where they had 100% access to you, is because you didn't value yourself. You didn't know your worth, and you didn't think you could really do it on your own. You didn't think you were made for that. And it wasn't that you were doing it on your own, because God was always by your side. It was the fact that you really didn't know your drug was people's opinions. You could be addicted to people's opinions. You could be addicted to people accepting you. See, we talk about other addictions, but did you leave yourself in the addiction? Because see, it still ties into finding yourself, but did you leave yourself in the addiction of other people's opinions instead of God's opinion? I know in church we would like to say, we want to say, well, people should be able to look at your life and judge it. Yeah, they can look at your life and judge to see if you walking by faith and not by sight, to see if you really a believer of Christ. But it shouldn't matter to you what people think. It should matter to you what God thinks. It should matter to you what God has to say about your life. So like we like to talk about the other big main addictions that attaches to sin. We don't ever talk about your addiction to codependency. We don't ever talk about you leaving yourself in the addiction of people pleasing. Opinionated people, you're addicted to it. If people ain't praising you, you're not going to praise yourself. If people not celebrating you, you ain't celebrating you. If people don't have an opinion about you or what you doing, you ain't going to do it. How can I say this? Because I've been through it. I've been through it, I know it, and I'm on the other side of it. I had to find myself. And where I found myself, I didn't like where I found myself. And in my mind, I had made a decision in my mind. See, the idle mind is the devil's playground. I made the decision in my mind that I didn't like what I found when I came back to find myself where I left myself. And because I found me where I left me, weeping over something that was dead and gone, I also found myself in my codependency. I found myself in addiction to opinions. I found myself in addiction to masturbation. I found myself in addiction to people pleasing. I found myself in addiction to people's approval. I found myself in a whirlwind that I did not like. And I understand why God said, I'm going to let you go oh so far, but unless you are willing to go find yourself where you left yourself in, go with me to pick up those pieces. I can't let you fully go all the way because you'll hurt people. Why? Because hurt people, and I will have to make you fall hard, flat on your face, to the point to where it's going to take me and me only. We see leaders fall from high above, and we see them fall so far down, and some leaders don't get up. My fear of the Lord was, God, I don't ever want you to knock me down that far. He said, well, then you have to go find yourself when you left yourself at. And you know exactly. See, we could be behoovists. We can act like, I don't even know what you're talking about, girl. Shoot, I'm good. Are you really? Are you really good, though? Are you really good? Are you really? Or are you just saying that you're good because you don't want to go back to that place to find yourself where you left yourself at? You don't want to go back to that dark room where everything and everybody was there and watched you in despair. You don't want to go back to the weeping. You don't want to go back to the crying. You don't want to touch the wound because it hurt just too much. But listen, in order for you to get to the version that God says, this is the version I created you to be, you have to go back I know we say no turning back, right? You're not turning back to the chains. You're going back to break them. Oh, Jesus, help me. You're not turning back to the jail cell. You're going back to tear it down. You're not turning back to the walls. You're going back to break down. To break down. You're not going back into enslavement. You're going back to free yourself so you can free other people. Think about it. Where did you leave yourself at? If you know where you left yourself at, write it down in your journal and ask God to give you the strength and the courage to go back and set yourself free. Have a blessed day.